Okay. Hey, what's going on, guys, and welcome back to Awesomely Explained. And today we are going to talk about the It, aka the clown Pennywise, and the It's real origins from the original source material, and how the movie didn't show the full length of the creature origins and left you wonder to interpret the plot all by yourself. But don't worry, I'm here to explain so you don't have to. So let's get started. But before that, a huge spoiler warning ahead. If you hadn't get the chance to see the movie, then turn back now. So the It Chapter 2 reveals the true origin of Pennywise as an ancient being that landed in Derry millions of years ago, but also hints an intriguing extra layer to the clown's origin story. We know that the Eater of Worlds emerges every 27 years to feast on the unsuspecting citizens of Derry, and has done so for centuries. However, Beverly's visit to her old apartment, now occupied by Mrs. Kersh, suggested that there may be a reason why its favorite form is that of a clown. According to the rich mythology of Stephen King's book, which is stretched out in It Chapter 2, it originally emerged from a vast void called the Macroverse, which contains the main universe as well as others, which were vomited up by a vast god turtle called Maturin. It crash-landed on Earth eons ago. They lay dormant until some tasty humans arrived, ready for slaughter. In King's novel, the first humans it preyed on were the townsfolk that founded Derry in 1715. But It Chapter 2 changes this to acknowledge the fact that the Native Americans lived on the land before settlers arrived, and were therefore the first to be attacked by it, and also discovered a ritual to defeating it. Pennywise's famous way of working is to take the form of whatever it thinks will terrify its victim the most, so that it can feast on their fear before consuming their flesh. It takes on various forms, like the leper that Eddie sees and the horrible flute woman that Stanley sees. But its favorite form by far is that of a clown. Stephen King chose a clown because, as he explained, clowns scare children more than anything else in the world. And from personal experience, I think King was right. However, this suggests that there may be more to it than that. So first, let's talk about Pennywise's origin in the It Chapter 2. In It Chapter 2, the adult members of Losers Club are tasked with returning to places of significance to unlock lost memories and recover tokens to be used in the ritual of Chud. For Beverly, this means returning to the apartment where she was raised by her abusive father. Upon arriving at the apartment, she discovers that it's now occupied by an old woman called Mrs. Kersh, who insists on inviting her in for tea and cookies. While Beverly looks at Mrs. Kersh's weird family photos, the old woman tells her a story about her father who came to America and earned a living for himself without asking for any handouts. She then reveals that her father was a circus clown. As Beverly discovers an old photo of a man, Bill Skarsgård, without his Pennywise makeup, standing next to a wagon with Pennywise dancing clown written on the side. Too late, Beverly realizes that Mrs. Kersh is actually it in disguise, and the old woman takes on a nude and monstrous form. Chasing Beverly around the apartment, Beverly looks back upon researching the front door and sees the man from the photo, painting his face in white makeup, then scratching his nails down his face to make Pennywise's characteristic makeup with his blood. The flashback implies a different origin for Pennywise, that he was a circus clown in early 1900. Who became corrupted and had his form taken by it. Now this would explain why it almost always takes the form of that particular clown. But is this original story real? Or is it just another one of its lies? So this Pennywise's origin story is a lie? There is a strong possibility that Pennywise's supposed backstory is entirely a lie, especially fabricated to target Beverly's worst fears. Beverly was abused by her father, so for her, one of the most frightening things it can do is to take on the form of father figure. We know for sure that it was preying on Derry before the time period in which Miss Kersh's fathers hypothetically came to America, and first movie even showed Pennywise the clown is spatially depicted in a very old woodcut. We also know that nothing Beverly saw in her old apartment was real. she emerges from the building to discover that it's actually an abandoned ruin. So none of the photos that she saw were actually real, and both Mrs. Kersh and her father were just it taking on different forms. All that being said, it's possible that there is some truth to the story that Beverly is told. It does use human agents to carry out its terrible deeds, most notably Henry Bowers, who was corrupted by it in the first movie. He killed his father and then tried to kill the Losers Club to prevent them from reaching its lair, and Henry returns in chapter 2 to try and kill them all over again. It takes on a monstrous form like that of the Leaper, a giant Jack Bunyan, and an adorable Pomeranian that turns into a nightmare hound, but it also takes on a form of a real people like Beverly, Beverly's father, and Eddie's mother. It's possible that there really was a human version of Pennywise, the dancing clown who lived in the Derry and became possessed by otherworldly entities, carrying out violence in the same way that Henry Bowers did. It may have been searching for a form most effective for frightening children, and noticed that the Pennywise look was effective for both drawing in victims and then scaring them when they got close. Pennywise's real origin. It Chapter 2 is unambiguous about the clown monster's real origin, with both Mike and Bill experiencing visions of it crashing down to Earth and the Native Americans attempt to banish it. The film's origin story more or less matches up with what is described in the book, though details like the giant turtle that vomited up the universe are only nodded to why a reoccurring motif turtles, rather than laid out clearly. When the losers go to battle with it for the last time, they discover the ancient crater where it originally landed, deep below the sewer of Derry, and it takes on a spider-like form like it does in the book. There are also pieces of its origin that didn't make into the final cut of either movie. In these versions, there were 3 historical events that were specifically detailed, one of which is it compelling the Triple K to destroy a black speakeasy, a lumberjack slaughtering card players in a salon where it plays the piano, and one in which a woman being offered a choice to either allow her whole family to be killed or sacrifice her young daughter to it. She chose the second option, and this choice effectively becomes Derry's original sin, creating a pattern of it preying on children, and town turning a blind eye to those deaths. A version of the last scene was actually filmed for it, but didn't make into the final cut of the movie. In this deleted scene, which was set in 1600, Pennywise has not settled into the clown form yet, but instead, according to the script, naked, lithe, flesh pale and translucent, a half-form imitation of a human. He threatens a woman called Abigail, telling her he will consume her entire family and their souls. Abigail makes an offering for her baby and then stares distractedly into the dead lights as Pennywise consumes it. And then it says, "I'm not the clown. I look more like myself." It's a very disturbing and sort of a backstory for what it is, or where Pennywise came from. Now all of this suggests that it didn't originally take on appearance of a clown, and when it first encountered humans, it had trouble deciding which form to take. That in turn supports the idea of Pennywise copying his name and appearance from a real Pennywise dancing clown, who existed at some time in Derry's history, meaning that what Beverly saw in her old apartment may not have been a complete fabrication. It's something that the film ultimately leaves up to the audience interpretation, which makes it all the more intriguing. Well, with that said, my origin video of Pennywise has come to an end. Let me know your thoughts about Pennywise's origin. Are you satisfied with the film and what it has to offer? Or maybe you think otherwise. Well, let me know. And also be sure to check out my full breakdown of It Chapter 2, link in the description below or in the I button up there. And also thumbs if you liked it and sub if you loved it. And as always, you guys are awesome.